have to be a best-selling author to write blogs that brings you clients to your photography business. All you need is to include a few key things in every blog post to drive more traffic to your website, which means more clients, which means more money. I have blog posts that I wrote 5 years ago that still bring me inquiries today. And in this video, I am walking you through my exact step-by-step process on how you can do this for your photography business too. In a previous video, I mentioned that I have two main types of blog posts, and those are portfolio or client case study blog posts and informational blog posts. We are going to talk about portfolio or client work blog posts first because those are easier since you already have most of the content, aka the photos. The first step is to curate the photos that are going to go on the blog post. The biggest thing here is don't overthink it. I know, as photographers, we want to showcase the best of the best work, but what I don't want to happen is for you to get bogged down in picking the exact perfect photos and then eventually never getting the blog post up. All you need to do is scroll through the gallery and pick the first 20 or 25 that catch your eye. Do not overthink this. For me, it's easiest to pick the images after I've delivered the gallery and it's all uploaded into my system, which is Pixieset. I don't like to do this from Lightroom just because it takes me longer. So let me show you how I do it in Pixieset. Once I'm in Pixieset, the easiest thing for me to do to make my selections for the blog post is to view it as if I were a client. So I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna scroll through the gallery and select any images that I love and that really catch my eye. Then I just add it to my favorites list. I like to pick a variety of outfits, poses, compositions, detail shots, wide shots. And I'm also looking at this through the lens of, is this something that I would love to recreate for future clients? So we're gonna do this one. And this is just an easy pass. I don't overthink it. Then I come through and just add them to my favorites list. Once I'm here, I like to have between 20 and 30 photos. Sometimes I have more, sometimes I have less. As you're scrolling, if there are certain details that you don't love, you don't have to include it in the blog post. For example, I do love how these photos by the staircase turned out, but I know later on she's wearing the same outfit in this boardroom setting, which I love even more. So I'm going to include these, but not these just because I prefer these and my client prefers these too. Now that I have made my selects, I go look at my favorites and I think I have 22 photos, which is perfect. Once I'm happy with these, I just go into my favorites and then I download them. Pixieset automatically does a web size resolution for me, so I just go ahead and click those and then save to my device and download. Once I have downloaded the images, I do some additional resizing. If we open this, we go into favorites. I have all of my images. This is about 16 megabytes, which is quite a bit of space to load on a single page. I want to get this down as much as possible. The first thing that I do is I select everything. On a Mac, you can do Command A, and then I'm going to double click, which is then going to open it inside of Preview. Now, once we're here, I'm again going to Command A, select everything on the side. Then in the top corner in the menu bar, it's not on my screen now, but you're going to click on Tools and then Adjust Size. That brings up this window. In Pixieset, the web size will download everything to 2048 pixels, but I like to make these even smaller at 1500 pixels. Only type it into the width and the heights will automatically adjust. Then I change the resolution to 72, which is good for screens. Now I'm going to click OK. Everything is now resized and then save. We're always balancing high quality images with space and how fast things will load on your website. Once that is done, I'm going to close out of that. Next, I'm going to rename the images. The sizing hasn't changed yet, but I'll give you my secret tool in a minute. To do that, again, select everything. So Command A, right click, and then rename. How I like to rename the photos is to include my SEO keyword or what the blog post is going to be about. My lovely client, Selena, she is an executive coach. It's going to be executive coaching, branding photos. Then I like to have my client's business name, which is Madam Ambition. And then I add my business name, Emily Kim Photography, with a dash at the end. And what that's going to do is rename all of the images. So it says this executive coaching branding photos, Madam Ambition, Emily Kim Photography, -1, -2, whatever it is. We're going to click rename and they automatically get renamed. Now, my favorite tool for resizing images, all photographers should have this. It's called JPEG Mini. I'll have the link in the description. Now, I have already used JPEG Mini before I uploaded them to Pixieset. However, when I download them again in the web size, sometimes the compression gets wonky. I just like to run it through again. We take all of those images, drop it into JPEG Mini. We've saved 6.7 megabytes, and if we take a look, that brought these files down to 9 megabytes, and I'm pretty happy with that. You're gonna have big file sizes, you have big images, just make sure it's not the highest resolution. There is more stuff that I could do to make these images even smaller, but I'm not gonna spend the time to do it because I would rather just write another blog post. This is how I've been doing it. I see results. It's worked for me. So now I'm back in WordPress, and to make a new post, I'm going to click this button, add a new post. I'm in posts here, or you can click this plus new at the top, new post, add new post. The first thing that I do is add my media. You can click the plus button here, image, and then not upload, but click media library, and then upload files. This will allow you to upload all of those files at once. So here I'm going to select all, that's Command A again, and upload. Now that they're all uploaded, what we need to do is add alt text, which is short for alternative text. What alt text is the words to describe what is on the picture. Inside of WordPress, you're going to click here in alt text. If you click here, it'll give you the instructions on how to describe the purpose of the image. If it's decorative, meaning if it's like a pattern or just a shape or something to make your blog post look pretty, you don't have to, but as a photo, you should have alt text for every single image. I like to include keywords here where it makes sense, but I don't stuff my SEO keywords into the alt text. For example, if we take a look at this picture, it's kind of small, but you can maybe see it. Let me try zooming in. She's talking to a client. What I would say is a woman talking to client sitting on couch. And then a way for me to add in a keyword is brand photo of woman talking to a client sitting on a couch. And now I do this for every single image. So I'm going to do that. Now that all of the alt text is done, it is time for the fun part, which is arranging the image. Generally, what I like to do on my blog posts is arrange them one horizontal, two vertical, one horizontal, two vertical, as much as I can. If I can't fit that exactly, it's fine. So I'm going to start with my favorite image from the gallery, which is this one, and I'm just going to select it. That's going to insert it. Now in WordPress, how I do columns is I click the plus button here, you click columns, 2, 50-50, and then I add an image here, and then an image here. Sometimes you can even just go through and add placeholders like this. So that's one horizontal image and then a column, so 2 images. Now when it comes to arranging the photos, I make sure that I don't put 2 images that are the same right next to each other. Here, if we go into media library, these 2 photos, for example, this one and let's see this one. Now, these are okay because the background is a little bit different, right? Here's a wide shot and here's more of a portrait shot. But what I really like to do is show complementary images next to each other. Instead of the orange one, do I have another close up that I can include? Maybe not. See, now I think I might go back to the gallery and grab a different one. Or actually, maybe I can do this standing one. I like these next to each other. Here's another example of what I wouldn't do. I would not put these 2 next to each other because do you see? She's wearing the same outfit. She's sitting in a different chair, but it's the same pose. I want this to appear editorial. I want it to look more luxurious. I mean, we're in a luxurious location, but the way that we can elevate it even more is by having these contrasting images next to each other. I think I'm going to put this one next to it. Oh, here's an example. I wouldn't put these 2 seated images next to each other because these are 2 same, right? I want there to be contrast. Maybe instead of this one, I will do, this is more of a pulled back shot. Maybe I'll do a detail shot, something close up like this one. Yeah. As you do this, this will really help you hone your own photography skills to see, am I shooting consistently from image to image? Logging has helped me improve my photography skills. I'm going to keep arranging those and I'll show you the final result. I've added all of the images, and sometimes I don't use all of them. I think I used 17 or 18 of the 22, and I'm pretty pleased with how this looks. Now that I have done this, I'm going to go write the blog post. Once again, key theme here, you do not need to overthink the words on the blog post. You don't need to write a long, beautiful story. What we need to do is write a minimum of 300 words from the perspective of the photographer as a business owner. As a photographer, you are the authority. So instead of writing the blog post about the client and about their story, we want to write it about the session and about how you were able to bring their vision to life. I'm not saying we need to be weird or salesy or robotic, but instead of, Sally was a beautiful client, she had a great location in this vision, and I picked this kind of lighting to make this vision happen, and blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares about that. We need to put our business hats on when it comes to writing a blog post. What do people care about? Outfits, planning, location, maybe props if you have any. This is what the content of the blog post should be about. Focus it on the client and turn it into a case study. What did the client want to achieve? And how did you, the expert, the photographer, help them achieve that vision? This is a great time for you to look back on any notes you might have with that client. So maybe from their first phone call, if you do a questionnaire, a planning call, that's what we want to review. You can also reflect on their session. Did anything funny or unique happen? I have a blog post where I talked about the weather. It was crazy. But why did it turn out okay? Because I, the professional, the photographer, had a backup location and we were still able to achieve my client's vision even though the weather wasn't cooperating. That was totally out of our control. When I write the blog post, sometimes I do it directly into WordPress itself, but I actually use Notion to help me organize all of my blog posts outside of WordPress, and then I'll bring it in here. Let me go show you how that looks. This is my blog post hub inside of Notion, and what I'm going to do is create a new client feature blog post because that's what we're doing. And I like to upload all of the images that I have into Notion. This is just for my own record, or if I have a virtual assistant do this, this is where I would put the images to include on the blog post. What I like to do is figure out first, what is the title of the post? What are my SEO keywords going to be? I already decided this was going to be executive coach branding photos, and then link out to any other relevant links like my client's website. And then down here is where I start to bullet point out the content. I know my client Selena is an executive leadership coach. I also know that the location was at this beautiful hotel. It was the Palace Hotel in San Francisco. So Palace Hotel in San Francisco. And Francisco, and I know the vibe and mood that we wanted to communicate was professional and luxury. Now what I would do is refer back to my notes from our planning call, our initial call together, and then fill out the rest of my bullet points. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back. Okay, so I've fleshed out these bullet points a little bit more. Selena is an executive leadership coach. We wanted to convey a professional luxury feel, all of these other things. So I'm going to copy all of this, come into ChatGPT and say, can you write me a search engine optimized blog post that is between 300 to 500 words that covers these bullet points? I also like to give more context. So I am a brand photographer who specializes in helping thought leaders and entrepreneurs showcase their vision through imagery. I should just pull this from my website. Then I'm going to paste the bullet points that I have, and let's just see what happens. Okay, so this is actually pretty good. One thing I forgot to give it was my keyword phrase. So I'm going to say, this is great. Now, can you update it to include my keyword phrase, which is, what did I say it was? Executive coach branding photos. So we're going to take this and go. You can see now that I've given it my keyword phrase, it's updated some of the headers to include branding photos, which is great. Now, what I'm not going to do is copy and paste this and publish it immediately. Google knows when you have used generated content, meaning content that you've never changed on its own. What I'm going to do is take this into Notion, rewrite it to be in my own words, and then I'll publish it. Let me do that and I will come back to you. Here are my bullet points, and here is the updated blog post. I ended up moving some stuff around. I rephrased lots of things because it sometimes says things, it just sounds like AI speak. So I made it sound like me, and I added things like knowing the rules as a brand photographer. Specifically, something that I've added is we weren't allowed to use lights in the common areas, which is a trade-off. We got this beautiful backdrop, but I wasn't able to control the light like I normally could. I included this, which helps showcase, look, I know what I'm doing as a brand photographer. I know how to do this. And if you're planning your own photo shoot, this is important to know. So now what I'm going to do is take this entire blog post, and I am going to copy this into WordPress. We're going to paste it, and then I'm going to grab the title. I actually don't like this. I would just say executive coach branding photos. And I wouldn't say a case study. I would say Selena from Madam, and this becomes my title. Once I'm in WordPress, I don't like to have blocks of text like this. What I'm going to do is take some of these and move them earlier in the blog post just to break it up. I'll probably put one, like here, and then another one here, and maybe one more right here. I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've rearranged some of the images, and what I'm going to do is save it as a draft and then preview it so that I can see how it looks in the browser. I still have to add my category, but overall, I need to add more space here. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're almost done. I'm going to add spacing and I'll report back. I just added spacing, and now I want to change the URL, add this to my categories, add my tags, all of that good stuff. You do all of that on the sidebar. Instead of block, you'll click post right here. Not uncategorize. It's going to go in my branding section with the rest of my clients. It will also recommend tags to you, and I've done a lot of these, so I'm going to pick some of these that it already makes sense, and then executive coach branding photos. The featured image is already set. It's the first image here. And the last thing that I want to do is do my SEO settings. So you click on the Yoast icon if you've set it up like I showed you how to in my last video. My focus key phrase is executive coach branding photos. Then it's going to give me some instructions on what to do. So I could mention it more. Oh, I need to add my outbound links. I always link to my clients' websites and information at the bottom here. I also link to other blog posts that are relevant. If I have other executive coach branding photos, which I do, I will link to that so that people can keep reading. Follow the rest of these improvements. Okay, we are almost done writing this blog post. The next thing you want to do is make sure that your post has relevant headings. So H2s, 3s through 6s. These should be relevant headings to the content, and it should break up the text. You can think of it as like, what kind of heading would you see in a newspaper article? It should summarize the content after it. And what this does is it tells search engines what to expect from the blog post. We're basically telling Google, hey, here's the content of my blog post. Don't forget to preview the blog post to make sure everything looks good, spacing looks good, photos look good, and then you are all set to publish. So that's my process for writing client blog posts, but what about the informational blog posts that I talked about? When you're writing informational blog posts, we pretty much follow that same process. But instead of the content of the blog post being specific to a client, it's more generalized to your expertise. We still want to include copy, headings, images, all of that good stuff, but instead of it being about a client, it's maybe about outfit planning in general or location planning in general. If you need help coming up with more blog post ideas, I talked about that in a previous video in this series. Now, how can you keep making your blog post work for you after you've published it? How can we get more eyes on that blog post? The first is to pin it to Pinterest. I pin every single image on my blog posts to Pinterest. I don't do it all at once, like I don't automatically publish all of those pins, but what I do is I will pin one image a day to a different board until I run out of images. The second thing you can do is share that session to Instagram. Now that you've written the blog post first, you already have the best of the best images. What you can do is select 10 from your blog post, turn it into a carousel, and then copy the text from the blog post and use that as the caption. Or you could turn it into a reel and have the photos show up one after the other back to back and put a trending audio over it. You could even post both of those. So now we have 2 Instagram posts from a single blog post. You can also share it to your stories. My favorite way to share blog posts is, let's say you have a potential client reach out and they ask you, oh, do you have examples of this location, or I have this color palette or outfit ideas in mind. If you have relevant blog posts, you can send them that link. This is great because you're answering their question in an organized way and you're driving more traffic to your blog post. So this bit is optional if you have a lead magnet or freebie. Remember, with every blog post, the goal of the blog post is not necessarily to get them to book immediately. It can be, but really what we want to do is make sure we stay in touch with them. How can we create the best chance that somebody will remember us and stay in touch with us? Well, on the blog post, you can offer them your freebie or your lead magnet if you have one. For example, I have a free PDF called 50 Shot Ideas for Your Next Brand Photo Shoot. What I do is include a graphic on each relevant blog post to go download this freebie. What happens is they sign up with their email address and I email them the PDF, and now I have added them to my email list. So I can stay in touch with them, I can send them new blog posts when I have written them, and I stay at top of mind because I send regular email newsletters out. After the blog post has done the heavy lifting for us, what we're doing is inviting them to stay in our world so that they remember us, that we are the photographer that they want to hire. Throughout this series, I have talked a lot about SEO, or search engine optimization. Blogging is a key tool in my SEO strategy. Because of my blog, I get leads on autopilot weekly. I once went months without posting on Instagram, and that was because I was getting leads so regularly through Google that I didn't need to. I've mentioned how you can start implementing your own search engine optimizations by doing things like adding your alt text, your headings, doing your keyword research. But if you want an even deeper dive on how to implement your SEO strategy, not just for your blog, but for your website as a whole, I teach this inside of my course, SEO for Creatives. In SEO for Creatives, I take an even deeper dive into not just how to set up your blog, but how to set up your whole website for SEO success. It takes time, but you can get found on Google and you can book clients from Google. I mentioned it before, but when you start to succeed on Google, it pays off in the long term. I have blog posts that I wrote in 2018, 2019 that are still bringing me traffic, and people in my inbox will directly reference those blog posts when they reach out to book me. So unlike Instagram, content that I wrote on my blog post is still getting seen years after I published it. It's crazy. If you're spending the time to write content, that content should last years, not just hours or days like it does on social media. You can go to emilykim.co/SFC to join today. The videos are available as soon as you join, and I made them short and digestible so you can start making progress as soon as you open it. Blogging has been my main marketing strategy for the last 3 to 5 years, but if you want to see what other strategies I implement in my business, you can check that out in this video here.